Welcome to the Underrepresented in Tech podcast, where we talk about issues in underrepresentation and have difficult conversations. Underrepresented in Tech is a free database with the goal of helping people find new opportunities in WordPress and tech. Hello, Thais!
Hello, guys.
And why are we starting by saying hello, Thais, Samah?
Because I'm a little bit sad. Thijs is my colleague, and he's leaving Joost at the end of this week. I think when we share the podcast, he will be into his new adventure in life. And Thijs is was amazing person who helped us in production for our podcast, and he did a great job. And we're gonna miss him, so that's why we
Absolutely.
started. Yeah.
So, Thais, I know you'll hear it because you process this for us every week. Thank you so much for all the hard work you've given to us in helping process and produce our podcast, both on YouTube and in audio. We appreciate so much all the
Yeah.
work that you've given to us. So, thank you for that.
Thank you, Thijs.
Thank you. So this week I brought we always have a bunch of ideas where, popping around, and some of those
Yeah.
just stay forever on the list and we don't get to them because it's like, if we can't think of something else, we'll talk about that. And so those things are still on the list because today I just did a quick search. I typed in Twitter underrepresented hashtag or hashtag underrepresented hashtag tech just to see what would come up there. And one of the things that came up is actually something I hadn't given a whole lot of thought to. But when I think about it, it makes a lot of sense. And that is women, we have fought hard, I should say, to be able to be on stages at tech events, to have a voice, to share our knowledge, and to show that we know how to do the things that we do, just as easily as any man could, right? So,
Yeah.
show me a really amazing male developer, I will show you a female developer who can do the job just as well. So, are there more men in tech still? Probably, yes, of course. But that doesn't mean that there's only men in tech. However, if you look at some of the topics and the panels that women are still asked to present on, a lot of them are really tending towards underrepresentation, towards women in tech, why women should belong in tech, as opposed to their actual knowledge base. So, how to do development, how to do marketing, how to do these things. And so, I really thought about that. Like, I get asked to talk about underrepresentation at events a lot, but that's because that's one of our areas of expertise.
Yeah.
We have a podcast about that. I don't have a problem talking about that because we research that. Well, you do a lot of the research, but I do too sometimes. But we talk about that a lot, and we live it through this podcast and trying to bring different topics and areas about underrepresentation to people to help everybody do better and understand what women and people of color and other underrepresented groups, LGBTQ, etc., go through, right? And we talk about accessible disability and all of those things. What I don't want to see is women only being asked to do those things. I'm not being very clear today. I'm sorry. I'm like
No.
it's Monday morning and I'm garbling my words. But women can do more than talk about being women. And that's, I think, is what I really want to say is if you want to invite women to be part of your event, yes, we do realize that sometimes you're doing that so that you have a more diverse lineup. I applaud a more diverse lineup. It's wonderful to invite women to speak on your panels. It's wonderful to invite women to take the stage, but they should be asked to do more than just talk about being women. They should be asked to talk about what their areas of expertise are. What do you think?
First, I totally agree with you, and of course, I did a quick research because, of course, there's more and more women are continue to have more meaningful contribution to the speaker line in a lot of IT conferences. Like we're talking, of course, about in our amazing beloved WordPress ecosystem, but also outside. As a whole total, there's only 25 to 32% until now. But of course, there's a lot of numbers, like 70% of the women who are participating in a lot of IT conferences, they are the only one who are in those panels. Like she's the only woman on that stage. And as you said, a lot of conversation or most of the talks are related to DEI, the diversity, equity, and inclusion. There's, of course, there is a lot of things about technology, about engineering or career development or leadership, but still, like, not a lot of talks about the AI or let's say other the data, the science. Most of them really focus most of the talks about diversity advocacy, the career growth, or how to help with the diversity. Um, Yes, I think we should work. We are still working as a whole, say the humanity, the human race, to accept more women, as if not only in the IT conferences, but also as leaders. The prime ministers are more people in the parliament, or in the Dutch we call it the Tweede Kamer, and then that is, I believe it's. I don't know. 5 years ago, I believe we're almost there, but nope, nope. I think there's still a long way the
We're
road.
still working.
Yeah, but I agree. Like, there's a lot of things we can do, and also the numbers is still a little bit shocking because, like, we're. I'm happy between the 25 to 32%. I'm pretty sure 10 years ago it was much worse, but
Right.
I think it's we still not there yet because it's still when we looking for most of the time women they're invited to talk about diversity or career growth or even leadership, and
Hmm.
most of the time. The focus is not really on what they can add. That, of course, those conversations are really important, but also I want to see more as what they really doing in their career. Of course, there's women sharing it. There's a lot of women who talks, but not all of it. It's not like the majority. Let's say it's
Right.
still the number small and small. So yeah,
I will say I do recognize that the majority of our listeners come through the WordPress um, channels
here,
because that's, where we are. And I will say that I think that WordPress does a pretty good job of evaluating talks by the talk title, not necessarily by whether or not the person
yeah.
presenting is male or female, those kinds of things. And so I do think WordPress does a good job of that. I was on an AI panel earlier this year in Manila, and the panel was, I think there were four of us, moderated by Taco, our friend Taco. And there were two men and two women, or three men and two women. So it really was a good, it was good to have women on the panel that, and it wasn't talking about DEI, for example. Um, I think that there are plenty of events that are specifically for women that really do highlight the things that we do because we recognize that within ourselves. So, for example, um, womentech.net, which is, women tech career and talent and all of these things. I've presented at their global event earlier this year. Yes,
Nice.
and I've been invited to be a keynote this Wednesday. I'm giving a keynote talk at 11:10 in the morning, which is an interesting time. 11:10 in the morning. All about you unleashing the power of personal branding, which really does talk about how we people in general, not just women, but this is specifically a women's event, how we can use our personal branding to grow within our companies or to create a career freelancing or however we want to do it, if whether we're doing our own startups, things like that. So, but really how you use your own personal branding. And so that's not a talk about being a woman, that's a talk about marketing and how you market yourself. And so I think that the events that are specifically for women tend not to be about how we can do DEI better because we're already there. So we are talking about those topics that really make sense. Um, it's interesting. I can't recall who it was. So if you're listening and it was you, please identify yourself. But I did hear somebody earlier this year talk about the fact that they had attended a tech event and in the afternoon, they had divided out women and men into two different areas. And I can't remember what the men's, workshop was, but the women's workshop was hair and makeup and how to dress professionally. And I think my jaw hit the desk. It just was like, what? Okay,
Yeah,
first of all, who cares? What you
yeah,
look like should have no bearing on your ability to do your job and your knowledge base. Number two, if you're already at a conference, you've already grown enough in your career to go to a conference on your area. Haven't you already gone past the point where you need tips on how to do like what color blush and lipstick to wear and like what your clothes should look like? I was dumbfounded that in today's day and age we are still teaching women how to do their hair and makeup to be professional. It's ridiculous.
Oh my, yeah,
So ridiculous.
maybe today I need it. Maybe both of us today need to make with our hair and we don't put makeup. But yeah, I found it crazy because also we are talking also those events or young generation. I think you and I, we reach a level, we also we this is who we are. And I believe sometimes I believe your brain, your personality, what's in your heart also reflect on your face. Also, we don't have to all look perfect like those
Right.
filters because everyone use them online, these filters to make your
Oh
skin look
yeah.
better. And you like, and not all of us have to be 0 or 2 or 4 size. We
Hmm.
coming different shapes, different ethnicity, different skin. This is not should be really the main focus, but
Hmm.
that is also the sometimes like this is how still the people see the majority of the humanity see the women, because the first thing they look at you is like your hair, your makeup, how what
Hmm.
is you look like, if your what is your shape, and also if you dress. I don't think a man will care if he has zits on his face. I don't think he will care if his hair is a little bit like getting bald. Some men care, but the
Right.
majority, 95%, they don't care. And as long for them that like I'm fine, I'm wearing clean clothes, that's fine. I'll go. I show up. For us, it's always that we've been taught to care, and also that's still shocking that we still offer this workshop. I don't know if me, I also want to know what is this the this me, because I'm really bad at makeup. I would love to go to under the session.
But you wouldn't want to do
I
it
will
as part
hidden
of a
it. I will
tech
just not let
conference.
me like let somehow put someone else name, like because I will be trying to register for it. But this
And
is the
and
third words, yeah,
I want to say it's not bad to want to care about your appearance. So
definitely.
women, if you want to wear makeup, wear makeup. If you want to do your hair, do your hair. If you care about your clothes, care about your clothes. I don't I have nothing to say about that. Be who you are. But why are we being, in that instance, why were women being forced into this superficial when men were in a side of things that were more deeply tech? And that's, fine. Have a session where if women want to attend it, that's great, but don't be forced to attend that. I could care less. I think this year I have worn makeup once. No, let me take that back. Did I wear makeup this year? I don't think I've worn makeup at all this year. Not once. I think last year I wore makeup twice.
Yeah. Me,
So
I'm
like
started buying mini size. Do you know why? Because
what?
forget they exist. And I have like after one other day, like, oh, I have it more than 1 year. I think it's throw it. Let's throw it
Yeah.
away. Yeah.
And
The,
I like when women want to wear makeup and wear makeup.
yeah.
I just couldn't be bothered. I my brand of ADHD neurospiciness is I don't like things on my face. And so I don't like to put on foundation. I don't like lipstick. I don't like eyeshadow. Things like that bother me sensory wise. It's not that I eschew it and I think that women shouldn't do it. It's just not something that I care about. And
You
so
know
for
what
me,
will be
it's
fun?
not a big deal.
Sorry to interrupt you. You know what's gonna be fun? It
But
will be if we let the men attend this workshop at the first day of the conference. Let them wear high heels, let them put makeup, and let them run the whole day with it.
there you go.
And then
I
we
love
can
it.
test like how do you feel about it? Like we would love to know.
Right,
We'd love to get your
exactly.
feedback. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just separating anything out by gender at a tech event or any
Yeah.
event that is not specifically about that, I think is does a disservice to everybody who's in attendance. So were women in this situation, women were denied the ability to learn what the men were learning, but also the men were denied the ability to hear women contribute to that topic
Yeah.
because we contribute to those topics. I think, I was reading another post I sent to you Actually, I didn't send this to you. This was actually, I saw something that Jill Binder had put on Twitter in 2020 about Q&As at the end of, giving a talk and how it can feel very overwhelming to have Q&As. Like you feel like you're on the spot sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So the first time I ever gave a tech talk, um, it was the only time I've ever had a little bit of imposter syndrome because I always feel like, hey, if I'm going to pitch a talk, I belong, right? But this was the first time, so I was like, do I belong? I hope so. I think I know what I'm talking about. But I was terrified of the Q&A because I was so afraid people were going to go, that's not right. Where did you get that idea from?
Yeah.
Right? Kind of thing. Even though I had all of the information on the slides, I still had that like in the back of my head going, what if somebody's like, this was stupid, kind of thing. Um, but I think uh, it can also be terrifying to stand up and ask a question in the Q&A. And so I was thinking about that from that perspective. And as a woman in tech, do I I've never been afraid to approach the microphone and ask a question. If you've seen me at any word camp, you know that I will ask Matt Mullenweg a question because somebody's got to prime the pump. It may as well be me. And I have no problem asking questions and things like that. But as somebody on the stage, it also is equally terrifying when nobody wants to ask a question and you start to doubt yourself, like, was I that good? That nobody, I explained it so well, nobody has a question, which is never the case, right? There's always things you can ask. Or was I confusing or was I boring and all of those things. And honestly, it's usually just that people are terrified to get up and ask a question at the end. I don't know how I sauntered down that pathway in this, but I guess bottom line is I just want people who are putting together tech events to consider inviting women to speak on topics that you would ask men to speak on as well.
Yeah.
Don't pigeonhole us into what is it like to be a woman in tech? What is it like to be a woman doing this role or that role? How about show us how you do that role? Share your expertise without necessarily having to put a gender bias on it. Because when it comes down to it, knowledge is knowledge, regardless of who it comes from. Women should be speaking on those topics. Women should have a place on the stage. Underrepresented folks in general should have a place on the stage. When I speak, I use a mobility device. Every stage I'm on now is accommodated so that as somebody who's in a wheelchair device, I can access the stage. Hasn't always been that way. It hasn't, those things weren't always taken into consideration before I became this huge shout about it kind of person. And I'm happy that the events that I've attended and been able to shout about have made it easier for other people who have similar disabilities to be able to take a stage and access those kinds of things. And so I just ask that people think about the inclusion aspect of your topics, because if you only ever have the same type of people presenting on those topics, you're not getting the full picture and all of the perspectives that make an event a rich and enriching event.
Yeah. And everything you said, I agree, and I don't have a lot to add on. It's like also just like we're almost there. I don't want to say it like we are almost to the reach to that very beautiful, affluent, like amazing world that we don't talk about those things anymore because we're already there. But we still need to do more work,
Yeah.
especially in the speaker line. As you said earlier, WordPress is doing amazing job in
Yeah,
those.
absolutely.
And I wish other IT conferences do the same. Still, the numbers are we need to work on because I believe there's a lot of amazing women or who identify themselves as a woman who can be on the stage and present a good technical talk instead only just to focus on the things we said like we should all the time let that we should cover. I don't want, honestly, even me personally, I don't want to hear any talk about leadership or how we grow my career as a woman. I want to talk about new technical or I want to know a topic. I want to see women also someone um, to present or to have this amazing things to share. I'm not interested, to be honest, if there's any leadership or career growth. Come on, we used to see it when we were in 20s, we like we have the hope. Okay, she did it. All of us can do it. Like this was the mindset.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. I'll end with this. On October 8th, user SHXPIR. I don't know how to pronounce that. SHXPIR on Twitter/X. Um, Posted this. Let's talk about sexism in tech and VC, venture capitalism. Not the loud kind, but the subtle kind that slips quietly into rooms with lanyards and pitch decks. I met this absolute genius of a woman, stylish, sharp, instantly got what we're building at one MAGE, like image.ai. She understood it faster than most guys in the room. Then she introduces me to a guy in the VC world, and boom, instant secondhand sexism. Because, of course, if a woman's making the intro, it can't be serious tech company, right?
Yeah.
He actually asks if women even need more than one lipstick. Meanwhile, we're rebuilding how physical product design works, helping brands create, test, and launch faster with digital twins. Tech loves to talk about inclusion, just not the people it's about. Here's to the women who see the future before everyone else, building, coding, leading, and carrying this industry on their backs. They're the real geniuses of tech, and yes, they look hot while doing it. I love women, XOXO. I thought that was brilliant. And she does, I can't remember the title of this. I'll try to find it, but the title of this one, uh, painting that she includes, I'm going to
Yeah,
run
yeah,
it to
I love it.
ChatGPT.
I don't know the name of it, but
I'm about to upload it into ChatGPT and ask because I know it's a famous one. It's a
yeah,
beheading. Um, what is the title of this painting? It's gonna tell me in a moment. Um, it's working, it's working. But it's brilliant, right? So like why? Oh, it's called Judith Slaying Holofernes by Artemisia Gentileschi, created somewhere between 1614 and 1620. Oil on canvas. The painting depicts a dramatic biblical scene from the Book of Judith, where Judith, aided by her maidservant, beheads the Assyrian general Holofernes to save her people. This version is renowned for its intense realism, dynamic composition, and powerful portrayal of female strength and agency, themes often discussed in the context of the artist's own life and the broader Baroque movement. So we will include a link to this tweet so that you can
yeah,
see that image as well. It was perfect. I loved it. But those kinds of sentiments, women need to talk more about what happens
yeah,
in tech spaces and where we talk about it all the time, right? I've shared all kinds of things that I've seen and you have as well. I've shared things where people like that time I got that anonymous message through my thing telling me how I need to lose weight and how, if I need to be more serious. Don't police other people's bodies, don't police other people's genders.
yeah,
Let's just listen to people for the knowledge that they have, not ask what the shade their lipstick is. And I mean, woman to woman in the restroom, hey, what lipstick is that? Perfect. On stage, introducing somebody to a VC capitalist, any of that, there is no place for that talk. Let's talk about what we know and let's share our knowledge in a way that shows how powerful that we are.
yeah. And yes, we need more than one lipsticks. Why? Because we want to.
That's
So
right. Or in my case, just chapstick is fine.
just like exactly whatever you want. Like
Sure, it's all good.
it should not be the focal of any conversation with any woman. Like, what is your lipstick? It's maybe with your female friends if you just like
Yeah.
because it looks nice on you, but it's
Yeah.
never. And it's yeah, and we will include the tweet and the ex post about it. Oh my God, I'm so old. The tweet
I know,
and
I say it too.
and in the image and then it's nice for people also to see it because it's really powerful image me
It
you
is.
shared it with me and I was like damn that's a good one.
For sure. All
Yeah.
right, everybody, thanks so much for hanging in there with us. And we'd love to hear your thoughts on not only this topic, but other topics and topics that you wish that we would cover in the future so that we don't wake up on Monday morning and say, what are we going to talk about this week? So please share with us things that are important to you so that we can talk about them in the future.
Yeah,
And thanks again, Tice, for all of your help.
thank you guys, we love you, we will miss you.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
All right, Samah, we'll talk later. Thank you.
bye.
Bye. If you're interested in using our database, joining us as a guest for an episode, or just want to say hi, go to underrepresentedintech.com. See you next week.